All right, so today we are jumping into a really big, really controversial topic in Taiwan's education system, the learning portfolio. Now, this thing was designed to completely change how university admissions work, but you have to ask, has it accidentally created a massive crisis of trust and fairness instead? Okay, let's get into it.
So let's start with a story that just blew everything wide open. We had a student who got offers from multiple super competitive medical schools. Amazing, right? Well, it turns out they might have stretched the truth about a debate award in their portfolio. And once online sleuths caught a whiff of it, the whole thing unraveled and universities started pulling their offers one after another.
And look, this wasn't just some isolated incident. Seeing multiple universities revoke an admission offer like that, it basically poured gasoline on a debate that's been smoldering for years. It made everyone ask the big question. Is the problem a few dishonest students, or is the entire system fundamentally broken?
But okay, let's back up for a second. What even is this learning portfolio? I mean, on paper, the idea is fantastic. Seriously, instead of that frantic last-minute panic to build a resume, students get to spend 3 years slowly building a record of their work, their projects, their journey, all to figure out what they actually love. It was meant to be a tool for self-discovery. But that beautiful ideal, well, then there's the reality. And that's where you see this huge disconnect. What was supposed to be a personal, reflective journal has morphed into just another high-stakes box to check for university admissions. It's become something to be polished, packaged, and, as we saw, sometimes faked. So how did this system with such good intentions go so completely off the rails? Well, to figure that out, we have to drill down to what pretty much every expert agrees is the single absolute root of the problem. And here it is, the big takeaway. The portfolio itself is not the villain here. The idea of tracking your own learning journey, that's a good thing. The problem, the original sin, if you will, was the moment we decided to tie that personal journey to the high-stakes, high-pressure game of getting into college. That decision completely changed what it was.
And this gets into a little bit of education speak, but it's super important, so stick with me. The portfolio was meant to be a formative tool. Think of it like a practice quiz or a coach giving you feedback during training. It's there to help you grow. But by tying it to admissions, we turned it into a summative assessment. That's the final exam, the championship game. It's not about learning anymore, it's about the final score.
And when you turn practice into the championship game, what do you think happens? Well, we don't have to guess. Decades of research have shown this again and again. The higher the stakes, the more people are tempted to cheat. It's not a surprise. It's a predictable human response to intense pressure.
So all this pressure has created what you can only call an admissions arms race. It's not about genuine exploration anymore. It's about outpackaging and outperforming the next person. And the stats behind this race are, well, they're pretty wild. First, just try to put yourself in a professor's shoes. You get a huge stack of these portfolios on your desk. Each one represents 3 years of a student's life, often over 100 pages long. And you have, on average, 5 minutes to review each one. 5. How deep can you possibly go in the time it takes to listen to one song? And of course, where there's that much pressure, there's a business opportunity. A whole industry of paid consultants has popped up, promising to optimize your portfolio for you. Some of them even advertise a 92% success rate. They're essentially selling a guaranteed outcome in a system that was supposed to be about the journey.
And the fallout from this arms race is felt everywhere. It creates a massive advantage for wealthier families who can afford this help. But it's also changing the very culture of high school. We're hearing about clubs that are just for fun, comic books, magic club. They're shutting down because every student feels like they have to join the serious academic clubs to stay competitive.
And look, this isn't just a hunch. It's a well-documented phenomenon. Studies on things like financial aid applications in the US prove that the more steps and the more complicated you make a system, the more you end up favoring the people who can afford to pay someone to help them navigate it. It creates an unfair barrier. So you've got this intense pressure, you've got this growing inequality, and what does that all lead to? It leads to the system's biggest problem, a complete and total crisis of trust. Because really, when the incentive to cheat is this high, how can anyone believe what they're reading? The reality is, there's almost no way to check.
And it's not a secret. Both the high schools and the universities will tell you flat out, we don't have the people or the power to actually verify that the thousands of things in these portfolios are real. They are totally and completely overwhelmed.
I mean, just think about it. How is your teacher supposed to know what you really did at some off-campus volunteer event? They can't. On top of that, a survey found that 61% of teachers are just too burnt out to create meaningful work for these things anyway. The whole system is built on trust, but the pressure it creates actually encourages everyone to be dishonest. It's a paradox.
Okay, so that all sounds pretty bad, right? The system seems broken, but is it a lost cause? Well, maybe not. There's a solution gaining a lot of support that is incredibly simple, but also pretty radical.
A lot of this conversation is being led by people like Professor Chang Yao Wen at National Taiwan University, and his core message is becoming a rallying cry. He says the answer isn't to add more rules or make small adjustments. The answer is to make one single, fundamental change.
So here's the proposed plan. Step 1, and this is the big one, just decouple it. Unplug the portfolio from the admissions machine, stop grading it, period. Step 2, let it go back to being what it was supposed to be all along, a tool to help you figure yourself out. And step 3, if colleges want to see something, let students submit just a few key highlights, signed off by a teacher for reference only, no score.
And the logic behind this is just so beautifully simple. If you remove the high stakes, you remove the reason to cheat. It's that direct. If your entire future isn't writing on this document, the pressure to exaggerate, to bend the truth, to flat out lie, it just evaporates. The portfolio can finally breathe and be what it was meant to be.
Which, of course, brings us to the final, fascinating question. If we take away the grades, if we remove the pressure of admissions, would students even bother to do it anymore? And you know, maybe the answer to that question tells us everything we need to know about what we've taught people to value in education. Is it about learning for a grade, or is it about learning for its own sake? Something to think about. Thanks for watching.